This is the Honda Odyssey FL250 in its final form. It has taken a lot of work to get here, but it looks pretty darn good. It's far from perfect, but it looks so much better than what it was previously. So this is a 1976, I believe, FL250. So that's a 250cc two-stroke engine. Nothing crazy special. It's a 70s engine, so it makes good torque, but I mean, it's ported super mildly. It only revs up to like 8,000 RPM. It's got a piston port, no reed valves or any of that fun stuff. I have done quite a lot to this engine, pulled it completely apart, rebuilt everything, new bearings, piston, all that fun stuff. Now, it was a points ignition system, but those got all destroyed, and for about the same price that I could replace the points, I just bought a full CDI ignition system, and it works perfectly. So instead of all of the ignition stuff being controlled inside here using these little like metal contact things that click together, everything's controlled using this little CDI here. So that's pretty cool. PE 28mm carburetor, just a Chinese A.M.B brand on Amazon. I think that the carburetor was like $60 or something. Nothing too special, but it runs really well. Now, basically, this whole thing was, I'm convinced it was submerged in water at some point in time, because everything was so rusted. The transmission was completely full of water. There was no ounce of oil in it. The engine, there was substantial amount of water, like in the bottom end and all that stuff. So yeah, this was a really tough project, but I'm happy how it turned out. Now the seat, out of everything, I tried to keep it as original as possible, of course with a few exceptions such as the muffler, the battery, all that fun stuff, the lights. But the one thing that I really couldn't get to keep original was the seat. I can buy pretty much any replacement part that's been either refurbished or in good condition, except the seat. These seats, they're horrible from the factory, so they just like rot away within no time. And they're the ones that are actually in decent, like usable condition, go for hundreds of dollars. So instead, I welded up this thing right here that basically I can bolt just a traditional riding mower seat to it, and so it kind of looks the same, more or less. It's comfortable, it kind of holds you in, and I don't know if you can see underneath there, but there's these little like slots. I'm not sure if you can see, but basically there's this lever right under here that you can kind of move it front or back. And I have it positioned so all the way in the back position, it just barely rests up against the exhaust, so there's not really any risk of burning a hole through your seat or whatever. Now, I was able to service the fiberglass. It looked absolutely horrendous, and the whole front here was completely broken off. So I managed to, my first attempt at fiberglass, I was able to reconstruct this whole thing. As you can see, I mean, as I said, it's not perfect, but it's better than that whole lip being broken off. Painted the whole thing, redid the whole transmission. This is a new clutch, a new CVT. So that's pretty cool. And the exhaust, it didn't exactly fit with this seat, the seat brackets. This exhaust, the stock exhaust, sits down lower, and so basically I just had to cut. In total, I took less than an inch off the header length. Considering this header length is like almost 2 feet, that really doesn't do much. So it revs a little higher, but other than that, I mean, the belly is the same, so it doesn't really make a big difference. Now, I did add this little, I don't know what you call this, stinger, before the muffler would actually like it was just a perforated core that would slide into the belly, kind of. But I didn't really like that. It didn't muffle very much at all. So it was a headset bracket for a bicycle that I welded to this, and then made this makeshift 90-degree bend for this just Chinese muffler, and it sounds really good. So that goes over basically everything. The head, I do want to mention the heads for these FL250s use 2 spark plugs, but there's only one of them gets ignition. The other is just there for whatever reason. So I actually got this cheap ignition coil that uses 2 wires. Now, some people, when I made posts on forums asking if this was a good idea, some people were saying that this would decrease power, because instead of one plug getting really good spark, now that spark power is being divided into 2 of them, so now they don't have as good spark. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just saying that's, for some reason, that's not the case. I mean, it feels, so the way I test spark on spark plugs with stuff like this is I actually hold the spark plug and pull the pull start, not very hard, just to feel how hard it shocks, because using the test light, you don't, at least the test lights I'm using, you can't gauge very well how strong the spark is. So I just hold it. I mean, yeah, I get zapped once or twice, but it doesn't hurt that much. And doing this with the 1 wire compared to the 2 wires, I can definitely tell that the individual sparks are weaker with the dual wires, but it doesn't seem to make a big difference in terms of performance, in terms of power. But I do notice when I was running just the single wire, the other spark plug was getting fouled out. There was a lot of carbon buildup on that one spark plug and not the other. With this, since they're both firing, there's minimal carbon buildup, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, and then I wanted to show this recharging system. So this is a lithium ion battery. It works pretty good. It powers the lights and all that stuff and the horn. But the main problem I had with that is it would just eventually go dead if we used these and there wasn't a charging system. So this ignition system, I didn't know this until I did extensive research, that this ignition system actually has a separate coil just to power lights. So how it was wired, it wasn't actually powering a battery, it was going straight to the lights. So just like when the spark plugs would get pulse, it would send basically the same signal to the lights. So that when I hooked it up, they would flicker really quickly instead of like a constant on or off. And I didn't really like that. And you can't have maximum power, maximum brightness when you're using that method, and it kind of wears out the lights. So I figured this is from a moped, a scooter, GY6, I think they call it the rectifier. Basically there's this red cable that goes to the battery, and then the pink and yellow wire, I just join those together, and that goes to the pulse coil in the engine, and then the green wire is ground. And I've hooked it up to my alternator tester thing, and it says that it's charging it pretty well, so that's pretty darn cool. But yeah, and then so this is for the lights. Of course it's daytime, so they don't look that bright, but man, I can tell you these are bright. The back, you might not be able to tell, but they're like bright red. They're bright red. And so those are on or off. This is ignition, throttle, brake, And then I have a horn that's mounted underneath here, just like an actual full-size car horn. And then we have the this tells the time if I don't turn it off, but there's a temp gauge mounted right under that cylinder bolt, and it also works as a tachometer as well, so that's pretty cool. And there's a feature in here, if I hit the M button, it shows me the maximum temperature that was read by this previously, as well as the maximum RPM. Now I do want to note, I haven't seen a lot of people run these where there's an actual like temp gauge like this. A lot of temp gauges I saw are like coolant related, and I didn't want that because this is air cooled. Now the advertisement on Amazon showed that this little I don't know what you call this prong thingy actually sits underneath the spark plugs. This is completely false, because this should be reading the cylinder head temperature, whereas if you're putting it under the spark plug pulls heat from the combustion chamber really effectively. So when you put that underneath the spark plug, you're not reading the cylinder head temperature, you're reading like pretty much the combustion chamber temperature, which is going to be like at least 150 degrees hotter than your actual head temperatures. So I just wanted to make that a note. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Man, I love this thing. This is my baby, but realistically, I've spent well over 500 hours building this thing. Now, looking back, I mean, I've amassed so many skills just because of this thing. I've tried so many new things building this. I've challenged myself so much. So looking back, if I had to start from the very beginning again, I could probably do this in less than a week. But it's just, man, it opens your eyes thinking back on how much time and how much effort you put into something. And it's not even mine. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.